Hi, and welcome to another episode of PawTube, a pause and read initiative focused on canine health and well-being. In today's episode, I've got a very special guest. We've not met in person, but very connected through our dogs. Allow me to introduce rescued dog Zack's human Ashwini. A very warm welcome to PawTube, Ashwini. Thank you so much for joining me on PawTube today.
Thank you so much for having us. We're really appreciative that you've created a platform that allows humans of dogs to speak about the potential problems or whatever is going on, just to express the other flip side of the coin that's been happening. So thank you.
And thank you for being such an active member of this community. I mean, Pause and Read is nothing without our beautiful members, right? And the stories that we discuss and sort of share through our platform.
Yeah.
And talking about stories, we obviously can't get this conversation started without properly introducing Zack, your gorgeous boy. Would you mind sharing a few things? Would you mind introducing him properly?
Right. So Zack is my beautiful boy who's sleeping right here. These guys decided to take a nap right here. Um, we adopted Zack sometime last year. When I quit my job, I started volunteering at a rescue organization, which was fantastic. And I remember meeting Zack over there and walked him, and I was like, man, this dog, who is gonna have him? Because he had a lot of problems in terms of that humping, in terms of just walking around and struggling to walk, because whenever he'd be leashed, he would sort of dry himself to the point that he could not even breathe. He would constantly go, but it was always there, right?
Yeah.
I know that a lot of volunteers were also hesitant to walk him because he was big, constantly humping. He had a lot of stress, still has a lot of stress and anxiety, which has been very controlled right now, I would say. And yeah, and I remember not wanting to adopt this dog, or I remember distinctively thinking to myself, I was like, no one's going to adopt this dog. No one's going to take him for a foster because how he is. 2 weeks down the line, as I was sitting at home, I was like, you know what, I can do something better. And I spoke to my husband and I was like, there's this dog. No one's going to take him. He said, okay, what dog is it? I was like, look, it's a mixed breed. I didn't specify what it was. It's a mixed breed. It went great. And he was like, fine, but you're taking care of it. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. Don't expect me to do anything. I was like, fine, I'm at home. I will do it. And the minute my husband saw Zack in the car when he was transported, he fell in love. He's like, oh my God, this is a gorgeous boy. I never thought he's going to be like this. And I was like, yeah. Wait till you walk him. It's not very pleasant. And it was not pleasant. I think the first 1 week we were sweating each time we had to walk him, because the force that he pulled himself off, I thought at some point his trachea is going to collapse, because it was just very bad. And the minute we saw another dog, it was game over, because the pull was so hard. And not to say that we're not strong people, but Zack is quite strong. For a 25-kilo dog, he's quite strong, and he's a medium blood. So we don't, we didn't know what we were dealing with, actually. But somewhere down the line, I think because we formed a very big connection, he understood that he's going to be here, or at least we are his people. Things flipped a lot. Now he heals. Now he sits by us. There's a bit of affection, not much, but there's a bit of affection. We respect that. And he's a completely different dog. This is a dog that if you see today, you'd be like, I want to take him home. So it's been great. This was a wonderful decision by both of us, and I'm really happy that it got to a point because of the effort that we put in. We put in so much effort. It's been a very difficult journey, but the effort that we had to put in, time that we both had to put in, was quite immense.
I can imagine. And while the effort must have been Herculean, it is also very rewarding. And I'm so glad that you ended up being that nutcase who adopted, who eventually adopted Zack. Your experience, all the way from fostering him to adopting and building that connection with him. What are some of the things that you've gone through and you have experienced?
I think just to circle back to the point of him being the breed that he is, there's a lot of stigmas attached to it, and I think just walking him down the street, the looks that we've got,
Yep.
to two very distinctive incidents that just stick out in my mind like a very sore thumb, right? One of them was, so I have another dog also named Jack who lives with my parents. We took him off the street. He turned out to be a beautiful golden Saluki. He's a medium-sized, medium large, and my parents drop him home from time to time. He lives with us, and I took him out for a walk. While we were coming back, there was a lady in the lift who looked at both of them and was like, will they bite? I was like, no, they're both fine, just don't encroach their spaces, because Jack is a bit protective of his space, which we all respect. Zack's very lovable. And she takes a look at both the dogs and she points at Jack and she's like, that dog is fine. It looks at Zack and she's like, but I'm not sure about him. I know he'll bite. I was like, it's actually the opposite. Jack will go for you if you put your finger out, like towards him. But Zack, he's a lovely boy. So, and I was just like, how could you judge a dog based on what he looks like? I mean, each dog has their own genetic predispositions. They have, obviously, their training, the love, the bond that comes. I think that plays a vital force into how they behave. It's just very simple. And a lot of people misunderstand that, if it's a golden retriever or if it's, one of those lovable social dogs, it's okay. Whereas dogs that look slightly bit fiercer are not, when it can be completely flipped. And I think our case at our home with Jack and Zack, it's been that case where you should not be judging the dog by what it looks like.
Absolutely.
And second incident was actually quite funny because we went to the dog park, and the dog park obviously has a range of dogs and these Karen mums who would be sitting, on their side gossiping, which is fine, like you do you. And then we passed around with Zack, and one of the ladies was like, oh, how are they getting that big dog in here? Like, this is a Doggo Argentino. It's not even allowed in Dubai. It's banned in Dubai. I'm just thinking to myself, and I was like, first off, you've got the description completely wrong. Second, we don't classify even Zack as a breed. We call him a rescue because it is what it is. And, these sort of instances of biases just put us like in a position that makes us go like question mark, question mark, question mark, Why, and who are you to judge? At the end of the day, he's a rescue. He was possibly bred for certain purposes, but he's a rescue at the end of the day. And he deserves equal love, affection, and training as any other dog.
Surely, and I think this holds for this kind of judgment holds for several dogs. I mean, several breeds. I mean, it's not only rescued dogs, but also certain dogs. So perceptions like, oh, a beagle, so I can come and touch the beagle, and the beagle will come to me. We are so friendly. The ears and everything so cute. But you've got to understand that there are experiences that shape our dogs. They may like something, they may not like something.
Yes, and this is something that also we encounter first is the touching part of it. People, when I walk Zack, people feel it's okay to go or or come here. No. I'm usually a non-confrontational person, but the minute you come close to my dog, I'm like, don't. You have no right to. Don't. My husband gets very annoyed because he's like, why are you so rude to people? Let them touch. I'm like, no, he does not need it. We do not need it. And when we are both walking alone, we both do not need it. That space, that boundary is so important for people to understand. And
Yeah.
I'm actually very glad that, he's a big dog. There are not many instances, but there are those one-offs that really tick me off because I really don't need it. He's in training. I don't need people's hands near his face.
And also, sudden charging can lead to reactions which people don't understand, and people call those reactions aggression. I have a
Aggression.
problem with that.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can't have a child running towards my
Mhm.
dog and trying to hug him from the front.
Absolutely,
The dog might
a lot.
react.
Yes. Most adults here, I've also noticed, don't have that boundary setting. So I don't expect them to teach that to their kid. We've had kids 7, 8 years old just charge at us, and I know Zack won't do anything. I just don't need an instance where people feel comfortable to do it. I don't want him to think that it's okay for others to charge at him, because it's not okay.
Exactly.
And yeah, I mean, with like I said, we're very lucky with Zack. But Jack, on the other hand, if someone had to he will give you a warning. So if you're in his space, he will give you a warning. He'll start growling. And I love the gift of the growl because it tells you that, hey, back off.
Yeah.
Something might. So
something that I'm curious to understand, Ashwini, is you mentioned right in the beginning how Zack would pull while walking. How did he come around? What did you do to build that connection for him to, sort of calm down during his walks and trust you, and trust that the situation is under control? This is an everyday thing that you both need to enjoy.
Yeah, to be very frank with you, we're still working on this. So this is still a work in progress for us. I would say today Zack is about 85% better than where he was. So if I say heel, he comes back, he doesn't pull. We are obviously sometimes in situations where he sees another dog, but he never lunges anymore. He calms down, he sits down. If the dog charges, then yes, he goes for it because he's protecting me. And I love that, today it's that bond. So for us, what worked was a daily set of training, which included leash walking in the house. So when he was really, really good at it, we would take him to the balcony. We have a huge space in the balcony. We're very lucky to have that space. So that included training in the balcony with a little bit more distraction, a little bit more sounds. We do give a lot of food rewards and as well as verbal rewards when he does something correctly.
Okay.
And then slowly we started moving this outside in the community. It is a long process. I'm not going to lie. It is a lot of effort. There are days, there are situations where sometimes I'm not my best. Sometimes he's not his best. But at the end of the day, somehow we try to make it work for each other's sake, I would say.
And now you have another dog at home with Zack.
She's our foster, Sonya. She is an absolute dream. We're looking for a house for her. She's part of Second Bags. They're also looking for a house for her. And I'm hoping that whoever adopts her, really, they don't understand the gift Sonya is. I hate to say this, but like, Sonya is probably the dog I wish I had. I really hate to.
There's another thing, Ashwini. Mental stimulation is so important for dogs of all sizes, all breeds, rescued, irrespective. How do you, and the lack of which can actually make them destructive? What are some of the things that you consciously practice with Zack to keep him mentally stimulated?
So I'm going to say both Zack and Sonya because, like I said previously, I'm away. Me and my husband are both away at work 8 to 9 hours a day, right? Both of the dogs are on their own. I monitor them through the camera, but there is no need for me to intervene. So what we do is a very it's quite a routine that's done every day, no matter what, even on the weekend sometimes.
Okay.
I get up 4:45. So by 5 o'clock, we're outside. They play for, say, half an hour, 45 minutes on their own outside. Okay. That's done. That tires them out a little bit. I go to the gym and then I come back. And once we're back, we go for another set of walk just to quickly relieve themselves, like a 15-minute walk. So that also releases a bit of energy off of them. Once we come home, we feed not from a bowl, but we use puzzles.
Okay.
So Zack's the puzzles. He finishes them like in 2 minutes, quite smart. Sonya takes a bit of time. So they're mentally stimulated. And after that, I leave the house. So until 7 p.m., they're on their own, they're sleeping, they probably interact with each other, and that's about it. And then when I come home, there's again 2 sets of walks, and the Kongs come out, the puzzles start coming out. And we also managed to do like half-hour training throughout the day, every day, religiously.
Okay.
So this has
and you
been
can
a
split it up, right? The training time.
Yeah. I split it up. So in the morning, like when we go for a 45-minute walk in the morning, we do a little bit of sit, we do a little bit of come, specifically for Sonya, because she's still at the learning stage. Zack has already learned all of it, so it's complicated stuff with him and easy stuff with her, because I don't want to repeat the same stuff with Zack. But every day we train without fail. I firmly believe your dog will only be as good as much as effort and training you put into them.
Absolutely. And if I take away 2-3 key points from what you just said, it's to establish a routine that they will follow every day, no matter what.
No matter what.
Engagement with them, mindful engagement, and the need for constant training and building that connection.
Yeah. More so on the connection front than the training, because that connection will give you that results of the training. If your dog doesn't trust you, there's no point in that. Because they'll do it, but they won't enjoy it. You want your dog to have the most enjoyable experience out of that training, which is very important for me, for Zack, for Sonya.
Sure. And my last question to you, we are discussing this because, we are discussing dog shaming because it exists and it impacts the dogs as much as us humans. There is shaming based on breed, size, nature, whether they're intact or not. And this is everyday thing that some of us face. What would be that one key message that you would like to send out to our viewers, the community, to sort of consciously practice empathy as opposed to, toxic responses and behavior?
I'll be honest, it's quite tough, because I think as human beings ourselves, we tend to judge other people. So let alone, and then you have the dog in the mix, it becomes a completely different situation, right? But as you said, I think empathy is key over here, because what happens is sometimes you might see a dog not behaving appropriately by your standards, but what you forget is that dog could be a foster, a new foster. That dog could be in training. That dog probably had a traumatic experience. So that empathy, instead of going, oh my God, why is that dog like that? Don't judge. Ask the owner maybe about the dog and see if there's something that you can help out with. Because I've built some really good friendships from Instagram over the dogs, simply because I've asked, like, hey, this was great. What about your dog? Tell me about your dog. There are some things as a dog owner that I know work for Zack and might work for your dog, but it's a hit and miss, as with any human or dog. So yes, I think empathy is a very important aspect. If you don't like it, walk away. Why speak negatively about something just because it's not as per your standards? We hold a lot of things accountable by our subjectivity or the knowledge that we have, where it's impulse to go away.
Sure, I couldn't agree more. Thank you so much for joining me today. It has been, it's been such a pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you so much.